Oh, yes. And good day there, folks. It's about, it is. It's 3:30 here, and I'm just here uh, to say hi. And if I do a chat this weekend, it'll probably be Sunday. And I'll try and do it around noonish or 11:30 or something. And just checking in, just seeing how you're doing. Um, Seeing if anybody wants to talk. Uh, uh, oh, Again, I wanted to remind you guys, if you want to send me anything, you can do it on PayPal. And I have that located on the dudewake42 at Gmail. So come on to that. And my Griot Awake, that's really the name of my publishing. It's called Griot Publishing. And I spelled it GRIOTTEPUBLISHING, I think. Or, X-rated. It's somehow they stuck X-rated in there, but the real address, because when I put the PayPal thing up, that's when I realized the real address is, GRIOTTE publishing.blogspot.com, right? And I just, a couple of days ago, maybe Tuesday, sometime around then, I put the first third of my newest novel, you know, more moral majority, family values, hot pants. No, it's a Black Widow hot pants, I think. Anyway, but the first third is up there. And it's interesting. I mean, it's somewhat, all my writing is just like all these shows, is somewhat derivative to everything I talk about, right? It's just kind of, I write a lot like my good friend David Icke. David's written 20-something books, and they're all great books. And what's somewhat derivative, he has this thing about the reptiles and the this, but each book is has some new nugget, but he writes it in a way that, if you haven't read any of his other books, he puts enough of everything he's ever said into each book to give you that's what it's about. So anyway, that's kind of the story of my writing. I mean, they're all different, but it's like, again, like I said, they're kind of like my storylines, and they're all kind of like, everything I do is a shamanic ceremony. And that's, we are put on this planet. We are avatars of love's co-creation, right? And everything we do, we should do as a ceremony. It's like my Uncle Leo. My Uncle Leo was a Mohawk Indian, right? And he married into my mother's family. And this guy looked like he was straight off the nickel, right? And my great aunt was like Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life. She married all the, the end of the 19th century. She was the prettiest girl, smartest girl. And she was her twin brother, who I'm only guessing that they were kind of had something deeper going on. He died in the Spanish-American War. And she wore black for a number of years until she met this old fat guy who was the richest guy in this one county. So she married him and screwed him until he had a heart attack, and kept giving him like brie cheese and steak every night until, she clogged his arteries up and, he keeled over. And before that, she got him to write everything in the will to her. He owned a bank, he owned this, he owned that, he owned this. And so she got all this real estate and this bank, and she became the most powerful person in that county. Then she married, in the next county, the most richest guy who owned them, and she did it 6 times. So she owned like 6 counties up near Rochester, near a place called I forget the name of it. But anyway, so we would go visit there, and that woman loved me because I looked just like her dead twin brother. So, like I keep saying, all my brothers and sisters are very Italian. I'm the only one who looks Irish German. I get the blue eyes, the brown hair, the fair skin, and all my mother's, genetic issues. Anyway, so I used to live, in the summer. I would go up there summer for a couple of weeks, get out of the city, right? And everyone loved me because when I would be there, the evil aunt would, ease up on everyone because she spent all her time with me instead of, going after people. And so she did that, right? And I got to see, what a person whose heart has been turned into stone, but it can be melted by, the presence of a innocent, lucky bastard, as I can attest. And so my Uncle Leo, because he married into the family, and he married the one daughter who, she was actually pretty smart. She was pretty athletic, but she couldn't handle the everyday life, So, she married Leo. Leo loved her. The evil aunt liked Leo and made him the sheriff of her counties, right? First, you had to run for office, but everyone in those 3 counties loved Leo because he never arrested anyone. He was like Andy and Mayweather or Mayfair or whatever that, the Andy Griffith show. And he didn't wear a uniform. He wore khaki pants, khaki shirt, cowboy boots, but he loved his police car. And he never carried a gun. He never had a weapon. And he was also the justice of the peace, the judge. And he had boxes of the Constitution in his car, in the courthouse. And if you came up for the first time, he would hand you a copy of the Constitution. He said, okay, read this, get to know it. If you run your life by this, I'll never see you again. If I see you again and you haven't learned that thing, you're going to jail. I'm letting you off this time. I mean, traffic things and a little of this thing, but anything, big, it went on to went up from him. Anyway, so I used to hang out with him more than anybody. He would come by in the mornings. If the aunt didn't have something that we were going to do, he would come by, get in his car, and we would drive around the counties and talk to people and hear their stories. And he'd say, so what do you think, right? And that's kind of another place. He was another guy who helped me sharpen up my shrinky pencil on reading people. He could read people like a book. So he was a shaman. He never called himself that. He was the sheriff, but we would go out and do ceremony. We would drum. We would drive. It's beautiful. I'm going to take you someplace. We take this big tree by the river, and we sit there and we start a little fire, and we would drum, and we would go into state. And so, and we would travel, right? And this guy would smoke at least a pack of cigarettes a day, if not more. And every cigarette he smoked, he would bless. And he said, this is a ceremony. And this is tobacco. And tobacco is sacred. And it takes your prayers up to God. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. Well, Donnie is just a putz. He's a hired hand. I mean, look, they got him on a TV show called The Apprentice. Was he apprenticing to be president? I think he thinks he's still on a TV show. I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm trying to wire myself medically into around here. But the difference between Roanoke, Virginia, and the medical scene around here is because they actually have a medical scene. Here, I found one good doctor, right? I got him on my side. He's an interesting guy. He wants to know about the stuff I know about. I gave him a whole bunch of old books, because better he have them than I do, because he's got a house and I'm out in the middle of the woods. They amazingly, 90% of the books I kept with me haven't gotten water damage. It's pretty amazing. They're not even musty, and they've been out in the woods, in a plastic bag, tied up, put in a cardboard box, covered with a plastic bag, stacked on a pallet, and wrapped in a tarp, plastic tarp. And they've survived 3 years so far. So, hey there, research. Good to see you, buddy. Let's not talk about body parts of our president. No. It's well, they are and they're not. They are if people know what they're worth. I mean, I had a library before John bought the school. I had a library of about 5,000 books. And I tried to give them away. Nobody took them, And then I have a friend of mine who's a book dealer, and he went and took everything, just took them away, right? And he's my good buddy. So, he sold everything on eBay, I think, or something like that. And he actually, because he's my bud, gave me a cut of, whatever and he knows what's a, valuable book. So he tried to do me as well as he could, and he did very nicely, because he did all the work. He came up, took all the books, put them in boxes, trucked them all the way down to his shop, went through them, put them on the internet, sold them that way. So, so I let him take 80-90%. But a couple of books that were really worth something, he dropped a nice check on me. So he was a good guy, And that is what the human being can be. The people who cheat, lie, and steal, they stop being human, Oh, let's see. Buddy, is your, capital key locked or something? Or are you trying to express something in all capital letters? Centenarian. Well, everyone in my family lived to be 100. Even both sides. I mean, they got issues, but all my mom's, take that back. My mom's dad and mother died in their 50s because they were treated, the 19th century was not good to them, because his great aunt, who had all this money, didn't share it. She just picked the one she wanted to be really. She loved my mother, but hated her parents. Right? Loved my mother, loved the youngest daughter, but the other 8 kids in my, there were like 10 siblings. And that's one reason why my mom's parents died early. And they both were taken advantage of, meaning my mother's father was a brilliant engineer, but he worked for Ingersoll Rand, invented a lot of great things, got no money, got like $5 a week, till he died. I got PayPal, gang. I got PayPal. You can send me money at PayPal at the Dude Awake 42, right? I think it works because PayPal sent me 50 cents and then took it back. But it seems like everything works. So it's up to my the Dude Awake channel, Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Yep, and it's there, right? So don't throw a lot in at first. See if it works. See if it makes it to my bank account. And yeah, I mean, I had to go find a computer person who it took him all of like 3 minutes to do it. Me, I tried to, just couldn't do it. But my good friend here, and now he comes and visits. He's a camper, and he loves coming to my neck of the woods because it's Cadillac camping. It's only 10 miles from his house, and it's like in a different world. He goes, "This is a different world." I said, "Yes, it's my little deep green. No one knows it's here, but they all do, right?" Ugh. It only took 3 billion years. I know. What can I say? I can be lazy about things. But I'm not lazy about you guys. I love you guys. I keep showing up to give you my little 411. So today's little, I didn't even think about what to talk about. What's coming to me is my Uncle Leo and his cigarette and offering it up. And he basically said everything's a ceremony. Everything you do, if you do it in a ceremony, that's why I call myself a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist, because not so much that I'm a shaman. No, I put things in a frame of the shaman. And the frame of the shaman is all our relations, everybody, not just some of us, not just our little tribe, all of us, cold blooded, warm blooded, skin, scaled, feathered, everybody. 9 generations from the past, from our elders, to 9 generations into the future. And that's what we're working here for. Well, gang, have you noticed they turned the electricity? You need to go see, there's a really great website called stopthecrime.net, run by this woman who is, she was, had her Chanel pearls. She was not super rich, but she had, well educated, came from the right side of the tracks, had businesses, was a real estate person. And then those fires happened, and just kept happening and happening. And she would see, one house incinerated and another house totally left alone. Whole neighborhoods totally incinerated, but the grass and the trees not even burned. I mean, she said something's gone. So go check out stopthecrime.net. And this woman, so the deeper she dug into this, the crazier, the more upset she got, not crazy. She's very sharp, she lays it all out, because if anyone's ever seen the movie Player One, everything that Steven Spielberg does is to give the heads up to the general public. Hey, kids, this is what's coming down the line, right? And, basically, Player One is this movie where everyone's living in the stack and pack. And in the cities are really, you don't want to be there, but that's the only place they're letting you be there. And everyone is going through life with augmented reality, right? So that's kind of what's going on. And the general public has to start to wake up. What's the most story I tell you is about Buddha standing by the side of the road, and his traveler goes, man, what are you, God? What are you? Buddha goes, no. What are you, man? You're like glowing just like this. What are you? And Buddha says, I'm awake. That's what you guys got to wake up. Stopcrime.net. Stop crime. Stop the crime. Or stop crime. Or something like that. Buddy. So, divorce is, So go see that one. That's a really good one. Another one is architects and engineers for 9/11 truth. That's another. So these are two groups of people who are like scientist groups. They're not like, stringing any, whatchamacallit theories. So it's like right in front of us. I keep saying, hey, gang, we got this window of opportunity, right? And it's a countdown, because right now we're at 14 months. When I started this, May 8th of 2018, we had 2.5 years of an open window. Now we're down to 14 months. So, and it isn't like the end of times. All those guys who, the end of time is going to be July 3rd. No. All it is that a window of opportunity. That window will close. Won't be the end of times. It'll just kind of be, Aaron, how you doing? Buddy's here. So is research, and so is another three. And so it's a time to take stock, to become aware, to wake up, to embrace who you are. Maslow's order of human needs. First we need a roof over our head, then we needed to be fed, then we needed to kind of belong to a crew, then we needed to be have self-esteem, and then the most important is to become self-aware, right? You know, the first one, roof over your head, is so you're not scared of, oh, the lion's going to eat me. Next one is so you don't starve to death. I'm not always, I need to eat. You have that whole, pit in your tummy, and that's why people become obese, right? And living out in the deep green on $54 a month to eat on has been really good for me because I've lost whatever need I need that. I used to eat, when I was in my Gorgo stage.